Okay. All right. Yo, what's up? What's up? It's the one and only hip hop gamer, Hot 97, Logitech G. You don't understand right now. You don't understand right now, man. Like, my life, listen, y'all, my life, a lot of my life, I have to be extremely humbled and thankful because this man right here is responsible for some of the best moments in my entire life and moments that I shared with my grandma. Rest in peace, happened because of this man. You understand what I'm saying? One of my first biggest breakthrough interviews I ever had in this industry was with the one and only David Jaffe. I love you for life, man. How you feel, man? What's going on, baby?
Well, it's good to be here. It's good to see you as always. Those are nice things to say. I appreciate that. What same shit as everybody else. Working at home, quarantining, trying to balance between being productive and being positive, and getting shit done and reading the news and going,
Yeah.
I mean, we're living in a nightmare. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, my family's healthy. I hope your family's healthy.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's kind of, and you're in New York, right? So
Yeah,
I
I'm in
mean,
New
you got to
York,
be,
yeah. I gotta be even more
I
careful.
mean,
Yeah.
that's right. I mean, everybody's got to be careful, but New York's taking the real brunt of it so far. And so, I mean, it's really weird. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but for me, I'd say 80% I live just normally. I'm just functioning. I'm working. I'm trying to get some new shit off the ground. And then 20% of my day or maybe 20% of my week, it'll hit me of like, holy cow, man, the press is saying this could go on for, I just got a notification yesterday that the kids may not be going back to school next semester, meaning in September they'll still be at home.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So I'm doing well, but every now and then the surreal nature of what's happening hits me, and it's like, holy cow, man, we're living in a fucking monster movie.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. For me, like personally, what I would say is, and this is how I was raised. With my grandma. I always put God first in everything that I do. So I feel like I'm always positive. I'm always in good spirits, and I always see the good in things when it's easy to see the negatives. So even though we're going through a trying time, there's been a lot of things that's positive that came out of this trying time as well. So I just try to focus on that so when we do get world, we all individually can be better to make things better for one another. So that's what I pray
Yeah,
for. So that's
I
how
think that,
I yeah.
I think that's smart, and I think that's accurate. I think it's real easy to find some of the good stuff already that's come out of this. I mean, it's hard to do that
Yeah.
when you're looking at, now we're at like 83,000 dead Americans. I mean,
Yeah.
always keeping that in check. But you're right though. They're from a productive standpoint, from a career, from a family, from a health standpoint, there is a lot of good that you can find in the fact that you are safe at home with your loved ones and you have a lot of time to work on your shit. It's hard to
Yeah.
complain about that if you're in a fortunate position that you can do it. But I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, so take the good with the bad, but always try to make a blessing out of it. So that's that, man. So yo, David, man, let's jump right into it. Right into it.
Okay.
First, man, I'm not sure if you saw what happened today with PlayStation 5 and the Unreal Engine 5 and the way they unveiled it. Shout out to Jeff Keighley again with the Summer Games Fest. Talk to me. What was your first reaction seeing these things, especially being who you are?
Well, I mean, so I have a couple of reactions. The first one is that, I mean, obviously it's very impressive. It's really cool looking. My understanding, I've only glanced at it, that the deal that Epic, who makes Unreal 5 engine, is offering developers and publishers is really good. It's really good for indie devs in terms of sort of, I believe if I'm reading this correctly, that Epic doesn't take revenue or doesn't take money from your profits until you've hit $1 million.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then I also hear, as crazy good looking as these graphics are going to let us make games, it's a real improvement to the pipeline for dev team. So it's never easy to make AAA content, but it's going to be easier to sort of have the team function within the ecosystem of Unreal. So I think all that's really great. So my response from a standpoint of just sort of a 30,000 foot view, production view, is like, hey, this is really awesome. It's good to see. I know a lot of fans are into graphics and stuff, personally for me, and I get that I crossed a bridge somewhere probably 10 or 15 years ago where the graphics and the next gen stuff doesn't really amount to much for me. So it's cool. It's definitely cool. But the way, and I don't know if this is because I'm getting older and or this is because most of my work is as a designer. And so I see things through that lens and I can't help but see things through that lens. Yeah. But if you look at the demo they released today, which is a beautiful demo of this woman coming to an edge of a cliff, she leaps off and suddenly it's like she's got that sort of squirrel flight suit and she's kind of flying through the canyons and then she lands in this next to this portal and steps inside. It doesn't look photoreal, but it looks dang close and in some ways it looks better. But functionally what you're doing is just like, you're just kind of, you've done the kind of gliding mechanic since Soul Reaver. It's like, there's nothing, it's just like, okay, after the graphics wear off, which they will, ultimately this is great. It means cost of games are probably going to go up a little bit more, maybe a lot more depending. It means it's exciting. It's cool. It's the new flashy toy, but end of the day, I'm more about gameplay. I'm more about what is the interactive experience like. I'll tell you what's really interesting to me is that so much these days of there's a lot of things that economically power Epic, but one of, if not the biggest pillar, is the money they've made from Fortnite. Yeah. And what's fascinating to me about Fortnite is it is not the prettiest girl at the ball. It is a nice looking, well art directed game that's designed to run on phones, on low-end computers, on consoles. And I was in Vegas about 18 months ago, and you couldn't escape the Fortnite juggernaut. T-shirts, toys, it was Pac-Man for this generation. It was Minecraft. Yeah. Well, it's true, though. It's true. Of sort of how much it affected the culture. And you look at that and go, games are games. Games are about interactivity. Games are about socializing when they're multiplayer. And the graphics are great. But today's, oh my God, I can't believe, did you see that Unreal 5 demo, is tomorrow's bargain bin game. And so I've just been doing this enough that seeing graphics that look a little bit more photoreal, it's technically impressive. That's not what gets me excited anymore about working on games or playing games, frankly. It's the gameplay is what I care about.
So now I love that you said everything you just said, because it's like you have a way of respecting what's coming, but your authenticity always lives in the gameplay because that's the heart and soul of it. So I love the fact that you said that. And that leads me to my next question. So I know you said that you got things that you're thinking of right now and trying to work on and stuff like that. With what you just said about gameplay, what's something that you feel from a gameplay standpoint that you probably always wanted to do, but either never got a chance to do, or the tools wasn't ready yet for you to explore that vision that you had or whatever? But right now, with the tools that's currently out there, what gets you excited from a gameplay standpoint that hopefully, in a couple of years or sooner, all of us could get a chance to experience that classic David Jaffe flavor, what I'm saying, when it comes to gameplay design?
Well, I don't want to go into it too much because it's what I'm working on right now. I mean, for me, there's 2 game designs I'm working on at the moment, and I'm going to be taking them out with my agent, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 or 5 months. And ideally we'll be able to find people who want to fund them and say, let's make these. So what I'll say about them is, for me, as I will say this, I'm a very lonely gamer right now because the stuff that I love and the stuff that excites me is not all that popular at the moment, right? I don't care as much about graphics, and I've been online today and everybody's losing their shit over Unreal, and I respect it, I appreciate it, I understand it. It's just not my cup of tea. As I get older, I love interactivity as much, if not more, than I did when my dad first gave me my first quarter to play Boot Hill at an arcade machine. I mean, I was like 6 years old and I played it in a Florida swimming pool resort, and it was this, you can Google Boot Hill. I mean, it's an incredibly antiquated game, but that was my first taste of sort of interactivity on a television screen. I love it as much today, if not more. But as I get older and as I work on games more and play more games, I don't really care for challenge anymore. I want to get swept up in an interactive experience. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to have to prove my mettle. I don't want to have to like be really good at the game. That just doesn't give. I understand that a lot. That's what I say when I feel like a lonely gamer. I get that a lot of gamers love that shit. That's their bread and butter. It's like, Bloodborne and Dark Souls and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it means nothing to me. Maybe it's when you have kids. Maybe it's when you get older. Maybe it's when you design games. But I'm like, I don't give a shit about how it just doesn't push my buttons. But what does is, can a video game transport me into a really cool world on a really cool adventure and make me feel like I'm the star of this amazing experience that I can only get through video games versus movies. So if you're asking me sort of what it is that I want to see that gets me excited, I know Ken Levine, from what I understand, is potentially working on something similar where he's doing kind of like, I think he called it like Lego block narrative, where he's trying to almost do like the holodeck, where the game kind of designs itself in real time.
On the fly, yeah.
But I want to go on adventures through video games. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to have to fucking practice to figure out how to beat the bad guys in the game. I just want to fucking feel like I'm on an adventure. And I find challenge on that adventure gets in the way of that experience. So for me, it's about, can I still have a good interactive experience without having it be so gamified? So that's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm working on.
So now let me ask you this, because the way you just described that, it also makes me think about, I play VR too. I play a lot of VR, you know what I'm saying, as well. And me, like, based on what you just said and me thinking about some games that I've experienced in VR, like, there's some things that's synonymous with what you said and things that I've experienced in VR. Like, is VR at all any interest to you when it comes to game design, or is it just still traditional, pick up the controller and go?
I love VR. I mean, I have a Quest. I have a Rift S right here. I played a little bit of Alex. The immersion factor technically is second to none. I mean, it's insane. I played this game. Wasn't even a game. It was done with Unreal 4. It was on my high-end PC, Oculus Rift S. And all it was you were in a POV of the car in Blade Runner. One of those flying cars, I forget what they call them. And you're literally just flying around this futuristic, techno city. And I felt like I was living in that world. It was the most immersive thing I've experienced in VR before. And so I'm a fan of VR. But ultimately, though, VR right now still struggles with the things that I have found myself disillusioned by, whether you're talking flat screen or whether you're talking virtual reality headset, which is you're still playing games. Like I played Resident Evil 7 in VR and I loved it on PSVR.
I'm not doing phenomenal. That. You were like, you real tough to be playing. Look, I tried it, David. I'm not doing that again. Yo, listen, I'm sitting down, right, playing this joint, right? And I got so scared that like I felt like my heart went on to the other side of my body, bro. Nope, I ain't doing it. So I commend you. I ain't doing it.
It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal. And I'll tell you what, when I was playing it, I remember thinking this is better, because I love going to haunted houses on Halloween. And I remember going, this is better than a fucking haunted house on Halloween. Now that we're not going to be able to go to haunted houses this Halloween because of the fucking virus, I'm just going to play that. But anyway, what's amazing is it is incredibly immersive, but you're still sitting there going, let me manage my bullets and my gun. Let me figure out where I can find more herbs to heal myself before I go into the room and deal with the boss. You're still dealing with those kind of gamey challenges, which take me out of the sense of really living in the moment. And so VR does a great job at making you feel like you're in the world. But if suddenly you're in that world and the game comes to you and says, hey, let's resource manage your inventory so you have enough space so you can pick up more weapons when you're out in the woods playing Skyrim VR, it suddenly stops feeling like I'm really living in this authentic world and starts feeling like I'm playing a game. And I don't want to feel, I love playing, like I'm playing right now Castle of Illusion with Mickey Mouse on Steam. That's what I've been playing last. It's wonderful. And I played Streets of Rage 4 all last week, which I loved. But I pick those up when I'm like, you know what, I'm in the mood for a game. But what I want to do is I want to work on something that feels like it satisfies me when I'm in the mood for an experience. And that, I think, right now hasn't really been done in a way that's personally satisfying. So I'm hoping what I'm working on, maybe what Ken Levine's working on, maybe what Amy Hennig is working on, those are the kind of things that have me really excited about the future. As impressive as I'm sure Spider-Man will be on PS5, as impressive as I'm sure, the new Halo is going to be on Xbox Series X and all that, I'm more excited about experiences, less excited about games these days.
Wow. Yo, I can't wait to see what you're working on. Yo, I'm so hyped. I can't wait to see, man. So now my next question is, and this deals more with from a personal side of the business. So it's like when it comes to, just game development, there's a lot of kids and there's a lot of people that's trying to get in, like and do new things. And you are OG, you know what I'm saying? You're a legend. So it's like you've seen so many changes, over the years when it comes to business models and things of that nature. So as of right now, whether it's a AAA title or free to play title, whatever it is, what would you recommend someone, how they should approach game development, or how should they approach the business model of trying to make a successful game in today's standard, like in this day and age right now?
Are they starting from scratch?
Yes, like starting from scratch. Like you got a vision, you want to do something, and
right.
We can all have visions and want to do something, but you can't forget the business side. You can't forget, how things is going to eventually potentially end up. So what would be your advice?
There are so many. I mean, it depends on what you want to do, right? If you're just talking about you're a teenager, a young adult, you're a kid, and you're like, I want to get into making video games.
Yeah.
I think the opportunities to do that at a hobbyist level, to determine what you really enjoy about it, are numerous in terms of Unity, Unreal, Game Maker, Dreams on PlayStation 4, Roblox Studio. I mean, there are numerous ways for you to get your foot in the door of going, do I even like the craft of making video games? Or maybe if the answer is, no, I don't, but I really like writing video games, there's interactive fiction. There's a lot of ways for people to kind of test the waters and go, is this even for me? Once you figure out if it is, and once you figure out what aspect, maybe you like more, like I know designers that love more of the implementation. They love nothing more than to sit there and noodle with game balance, or actually go into levels and set up triggers and set up logic systems. So the player goes into a room and can sort of deal with enemies or puzzles based on the things that they've set up. And then I know designers that are more like myself that kind of work more at a high level or a systems level. Or you might get in and say, you know what, the game design stuff doesn't appeal to me. I like the programming more. I'm finding myself really into the logic of how games work. So I think step one is to sort of play around with the many opportunities out there, which are free, as long as you have a PC or a console for Dreams or something like that, and find out what you really like. And then from there, make some games. And then from there, you really have two paths at the moment. You can say, you know what I want to do? I want to, either with myself or with some friends that I found online or in real life, I want to build some indie stuff. I want to put it on Steam. I want to try to release it on Game Pass, whatever. And I want to be like a small indie studio. Or I want to get a job because I want to work on the next God of War. And they really are, they're not separate paths, like you can't do both, but they really are different paths in the sense that, they demand different things from you. If you want to work for a team like God of War, build a great portfolio and then start interviewing with those kind of companies, and eventually you'll get an entry-level position. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to go in thinking you're going to be the director of God of War 7, because you will eventually, maybe, but you're not going to start from that, especially if you've made some indie games and you love directing and you love owning the vision, and then suddenly you're going to work at Sony Santa Monica and you're doing not grunt work, it's all important work, but you're not guiding the vision of that game. You might be incredibly unsatisfied, or you might be like, no, I'm fine with that. I want to do that because I want to work my way up so I can eventually sit in the captain's chair. So there's the first thing is just to start, though. There's no
Yeah.
excuse to not. You should start if you want to start. There's lots of opportunities to do it, and then there's lots of resources online to help you. So that's a long answer, but
No,
that's the
no,
way to do
no.
it.
I love that because see, the thing is, it's one thing for somebody to say something. It's another thing for when you say something. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's the impact that I want to, provide people that watch what I do and stuff like that. So now my next question is something that the Unreal Engine 5 had made mention of. And I was showing a lot of love and praise to Quixel, the Megascan program and stuff like that. They was talking about how they was utilizing this stuff for movies. And so what I wanted to ask you, man, I don't think I ever asked you this, David, but would you ever like utilize your gaming design talent to make a movie? Or if somebody came to you and said, hey, look, I'm a big fan of God of War and Twisted Metal. I played these games growing up. I would love to have you on board to get your vision on what a movie would be like. Like, you know what I'm saying? Based on your
Sure.
experience in game design. Would you do that? Like, I'm very interested to see what your skill set would be like on a movie set.
Well, I mean, they're very different things. I mean, I have had opportunities and I've taken them in the past to consult on games that or movies that are based on games I've been involved with. So the movies
Wow.
haven't gotten made. I mean, I sat with the writer and the producer of the God of War movie back when we were making it in 2007, 2008. I know we're talking a little bit about the Twisted Metal TV series. I'm hoping to have a little bit of input on that. But ultimately, though, at the moment, that's where that ends. I think the job of being a movie director, it's a very different skill set, and
Okay.
I mean, I think just like game design, writing, directing, probably writing lyrics, everybody thinks they can do it. And I guess ultimately they can, but it takes a lot of work to figure out how to do it and how to do it in a way that's satisfying for an audience filtered through you. So just because I've had some success directing video games, I don't think that means I'm going to step onto a set and I'm going to be able to tell Scarlett Johansson how to get the most
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of,
yeah.
I mean, I don't fucking know how to direct an actor and, but do I think that there are some skills that transfer? Probably, but I'm certainly not looking, I would love, here's what I would tell you. I would love to, like I saw on Amazon the other night, Amazon Prime has become the weirdest fucking place for it's like they'll put anything
Yeah.
on Amazon and I adore it. I love it. So I saw this
Yeah.
thing the other night called Killer Sofa, and it's literally
Never heard of that.
yeah, I know. It's got this lazy boy recliner movie poster of a lazy boy with giant teeth and evil eyes. And the idea is it's about a lazy boy recliner that comes to life and eats people, and it wants to eat this woman. And there's a retired Jewish rabbi who comes out of retirement to fight the lazy boy recliner. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? And so I tweet about it, and the director tweets me because I'm like, wow, this is great. This guy got funding for this. He's like, dude, no one would fund this. I funded it myself. I lost money on it, but I wanted to make it, right? And so for me, if I were to ever direct anything, I think it would be something like that. I would like to direct this. I think what I would be good at is real schlocky, stupid, fun, get stoned, get drunk, watch this movie, and have a good time. I think that's what I could do. I don't think I'm Chris Nolan or Steven Spielberg. I think I'm Ed Wood, and I would love to direct an Ed Wood style movie. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, nah, that's crazy, man. So I gotta ask you this now, because you've been a part of some of the most iconic games and iconic characters like
Yeah.
ever in the world, like you know what I'm saying. So what I want to ask you is when you was creating, and this is more a personal question too. Do you remember like where you was at, like what was you doing, or any like whether you woke up from a bad dream, whatever it is, but do you remember when you first got the idea for Kratos? Like, when did that happen? What was the moment? What was that? Oh shoot, I got it. Talk, please. That's such a legendary moment, like for me.
Well, yeah, but so I so it happens in layers, right? So for me, I knew I wanted to do a Greek mythology game, And I knew that the audience would probably reject, and this was before Assassin's Creed and stuff, but even still, I knew they would probably reject a guy wearing sandals and a skirt and a kind of a traditional Greek warrior outfit. I was like, I love Greek mythology, I love the monsters, but we need a hero that resonates more with the audience of whenever that was, early 2000s. And so we needed somebody that was more violent, aggressive, aspirational for young guys, basically, because that was our core demographic, and us in the office. And so from the very beginning, we just knew that he was going to be this aggressive alpha, very brutal, inspired by the Hulk, inspired by Wolverine, inspired by Russell Crowe in a movie called Romper Stomper, inspired by, it's really tragic to say, but two of the inspirations are movies about white supremacists. There's a movie, American History.
American History X. Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah, and so we saw Ed Norton. Ed Norton in that movie, and just the look and the sheer animalistic nature of that guy, and how he didn't really seem human. He just felt like a fucking feral dog who was just angry.
Yeah.
And there was something appealing, obviously not about his ideology, but about how he presented that sense of aggression.
Yeah.
And very fucked up, but at the same time still appealing masculinity. Again, not the ideas that he talked about. And you've seen it, but if you're listening and you haven't seen it, it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, but the ideas about how he came across. So we started with the idea of wanting a character to sort of, Russell Crowe, Romper Stomper, Ed Norton, American History X, Wolverine, the Hulk, that kind of sense of aggressivity, take no shit, take no prisoners, masculinity. Yeah. And then every week or two, we had an incredibly talented team. We had, obviously we had Charlie Wynn, we had Ken Feldman. He's going to kill me because I don't remember his name. We hired a great artist, Tony Smith, Terry Smith. Who was in San Francisco, but he came down all the time. He was a wonderful sort of art director helping us. So we spent months and hundreds, probably 2,000 drawings looking for this character. So when you ask me where I was at this moment, there were little moments along the way. There were little moments where he sort of began to form, and it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then Charlie came up with something. Terry came up with something. Joe Wright, one of our designers, I was showing her Shinobi because I love the fact that Shinobi on PS2 had this great long flowing white red scarf. And she's like, we could do something like that, but with chains. And that's where like the Blades of Chaos came from, because we needed a visual cue to track the blades. So every couple of weeks you would have somebody on the team contributing to what ultimately would become Kratos, but it was always in the service of following that North Star of Ed Norton, Wolverine, Hulk, raw, aggressive masculinity. So we knew it. We knew his spirit from the very beginning, but it took us a while to figure out how that spirit would be visually, audio manifested.
Got you. So now I got 3 more questions, hard hitting questions, and then I'll let you go because I know you're working on so many things, man. So one question that I have for you, I had an interview with Sam Lake, right? And we was talking about.
Sorry, you dropped out with who?
Oh, Sam Lake. That did Alan Wake, Max Payne, and stuff like that. Yeah.
So who is Max Payne?
He is Max Payne. Yeah, he is Max Payne. Yeah. So I did an interview with Max Payne, right? And I never knew that in the first Max Payne, that was his family members. Like, he had his mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had his brother. His brother was one of the villains. His mother is the person that I think he killed at the end. Like, all this, like that was his family because he didn't have the biggest budget, but they had to do something. And it was incredible. So what I wanted to ask you, man, especially you being, you got kids and you're a family man as well. Like, have you ever thought about working with your kids, or have you learned anything from your kids, just talking with them, experiencing them, being a father, that you want to implement or throw in the gaming world and stuff like that, or game development wise?
Well, I mean, there's practical stuff. Like, for example, both of my kids, the last game I worked on was called Drawn to Death, and Drawn to Death was.
You already know I wrote a song for that. That joint is fire. Drawn to Death. I love that joint.
Well, it took place in this kid's notebook, right?
Yeah.
And so they did some art, and their friends did some art that we just put up in the sky boxes and stuff, so they could look at it and go, "Oh, I did that. My friend did that." And then my youngest, was days away from being the child of Sweet Tooth in the Twisted Metal movies for Twisted Metal PlayStation 3. And to this day, they're like, I can't. They were really shy, and they said no at the time. And now they're just like, I cannot believe I said no. I regret it so much. So I know. And then my ex, their mom was Sweet Tooth captive in the very first Twisted Metal movies back in 1995. So it's always a family affair, So you gotta do it where you can.
That's crazy. See, like this, I never knew that. That's amazing, man.
Every game though. I mean, in Twisted Metal Black, I forget who it was. One of the artists.
My favorite, bro. My favorite.
Well, there's a tunnel you can go into on the freeway level, and there's a huge billboard of an ultrasound, which was their kid that they were pregnant with during development of Twisted Metal. So someday someone's gonna write a book or a website of just, here's all the examples of developers sneaking in shit into the games where they're doing little nods to their kids and wives and families. It's it's a cool thing.
It's crazy. So now this question is more about your expertise in terms of the type of talent that you've been around and people that you've learned from and got your game design level ideas from and things of that nature, right? Just inspirations. What a lot of people is talking about right now, just culturally, is the PS5 and the Series X, and we finally saw that first gameplay controlled and stuff like that. Before that, there was a trailer, and Ninja Theory, they're incredible game developers. Mm-hmm. I love what they did with Hellblade because they literally, David, they had a cardboard box, right, that they utilized to try to do the facial capture, and it came out amazing. But it's just amazing what they had to work with, to get this stuff done. So they came out with a trailer at the Game Awards last year, showing off in-engine trailer of Hellblade 2.
I loved it. Looks great.
So what I wanted to ask you, based on your experience of being in the industry and stuff like that, do you think that, especially based on what you saw today and just the technology out there, do you think Ninja Theory can actually achieve that level of quality and fidelity in terms of gameplay? Like, we would play something that looked like that character.
Well, I mean, can they? Yes, but it depends on what the game is, because the scene I think you're talking about from that trailer is a shot looking at the woman head on and her teeth. I mean,
all of that. Yeah,
she looked like at first I was like, is that an actress? Is that a real person, or is that fucking video? And someone's like, no, dude, that's the game. I think it depends on what else is happening all around it. If you think you're going to get a character that looks that real, and she's going to be fighting 6 other characters in an environment that looks as good as what you saw today on Unreal 5, and you're going to be running at 60 frames a second, the answer is, of course, no. But that's everything's a trade-off. Like, I've seen people online this week going like, what the fuck? How come it's not every game in 60 frames per second now? We're at 2020. Yeah. This is ridiculous. It will never change. It is always, what is it? You rob Peter to pay Paul. It's like, you can get 60 frames if you want to run a game from PS4 era, but if you want to run a game from PS5 era now and you want all the graphics and animation and great visuals and all that stuff, you're hitting the processor with all that shit. So, you're always going to be struggling from 30 to 60, maybe depending on if you're VR, obviously more, because the art team and the development team wants the graphics to look great. The programmers want to be running at 60. The fans say they want to be at 60, but if you actually ask the fans, would you rather have better graphics at 30 or good but not as good graphics at 60? I think most of them would take 30. and better graphics.
I'll take 30. Let me tell you, Spider-Man, that joint is 30, sold over 10 million copies. The new God of War that came out with Corey Barlog doing that, that's 30. And you can set it where you can favor resolution or you can favor performance. I always favor resolution. I'm big on graphics. I'm a huge graphics person. Like, matter of fact, just to let you know, I always tell you this. I always try to do my best to give you your flowers while you're alive. You know what I'm saying? While you're still here, David. And I just want to throw in something else before I hit you with the last question, man. And this is just more of a statement, but God of War, the first time I ever seen God of War, I'm not sure if I ever told you this story, but I was at Virgin Megastore, right? Where in New York, this is where you still went to buy CDs, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. So I'm at the Virgin Megastore, Times Square, New York, and there was a kiosk, right? I'm walking past, I forgot who I was with, whatever. And all I see is this serpent at the top, and somebody rips, like pulls the serpent down, and it goes through the spike, and all you see is Kratos like, "Rah!" I lost it in the store. I lost it. I was like, yo, what is this? I was yelling, all right, in the store. I didn't care. And I went to play it, and I played it over and over and over again. I didn't want to go home. I played it. And I read about it more and everything. I fell in love. It was crazy. I learned about the story, fell in love, everything. So I just wanted to tell you, man, and everybody that's watching this, you know, a lot of times, you know, you got heroes like in your life that you may not ever get a chance to meet, or ever get a chance to talk to, but you always admire. David, you one of my heroes, man. I mean that, man. You one of my heroes, man.
You know, again, as you know, and I know you know, a lot of us made that game. A lot of us made that demo. You know, I get more FaceTime than they do, but certainly on behalf of all of us, I will say that's wonderful to hear. The weird part about it is the more you do it, and the more successes and failures that you've had, and I've had both, the more you start to realize that the same love and passion that you put into the hits is the same love and passion that you put into the things that don't hit, that fail. Yeah. And so when you when you hear those wonderful stories like your Virgin Megastore story, obviously it's nice to hear you say thank you, but in your mind, what you're really thinking is, I'm just showing up, the team's just showing up, and we're doing stuff that we think is really fucking cool. And then you send it out into the world. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't play test it and focus test it. You don't release it totally blind. But you put stuff out into the world that you just hope other people are going to vibe with. And it's not calculated. I wanted that demo to be awesome. And the team wanted that demo to be awesome. But there was no way for us to know that it would hit people like it did, that it would hit you like it did. So I will say, you know, that's wonderful, you're welcome, etc., which of course is nice things to hear. But from your point of view, probably like somebody who watches you, if there's a kid that watches you and says, I want to do what hip hop does, I'm sure there are days where you think about that, but you're just getting up and doing the shit that you like, that makes you happy.
That's so funny you say that.
And how the universe takes it and disseminates it out into the world and how people pick up on that, it's really nothing to do with you. You're just doing shit that makes you happy.
Like, yo, it's so funny that you said that, because I've had somebody come up to me at E3 and they told me that, yo, the reason why I'm here is because of you. Like the reason why they do what they do is because they watch me. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm just, really? But you just don't understand the effect you have on people until you meet someone and they really like, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to let you know that's what you've done for me. That's what you've been to me. And it's an honor to not just be a fan. It's an honor to call you a friend. And I will always support you, bro. Whatever it is, I don't care. I got you, son. I got you. And with the relationships and things that I got going on right now, if you need help with something, you tell me. And I got you, bro. So
I appreciate that.
For real. I'm serious, man.
I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
So for the last question, I'm going to wrap it up like this, man. For the last question, bro. When it comes to you know, working on I'm not sure if you have a PlayStation 5 dev kit or a Series X dev kit. I'm not sure. You don't. Okay. Nope. So here's what I will tell you. based on the technology that you are aware of, I know Mark certainly had that deep dive with the SSDs. Everybody's talking about the SSD, how impactful that's going to be, all this other stuff. What is the technology that you are most excited for that you feel is going to help you achieve what you want to achieve with the experience that you're working on right now for the game you got coming up?
Nothing.
Wow.
Wow,
that's
which is not
incredible.
which is not which should give you how do I put this? So it's kind of like the equivalent of saying you can make a movie like The Avengers and you can benefit greatly from that year's brand new technology and effects and movie making and things like that.
Right.
Or you can make a movie like I'm trying to think of like like, you know, the movie Marriage Story that came out on Netflix with Scarlett Johansson and what's his face?
Oh, now
Adam Driver.
You know, so funny. Thank you for showing me a lot of love on that interview when I interviewed Scarlett Johansson and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you showed me a lot of love on that. Thanks, but I never seen the movie. But
okay, so
yeah.
but the point is, what I want to make now, I would love for the graphics to be great because it means that the better your graphics are, the more people will pay attention. And if I can find funding from somebody who wants to spend the money to make some great graphics for it, that's awesome. But for me, you know, I could do what I want to do in Roblox Studio, right?
Wow.
I could do what I want to do 5 years ago. It's about the design, it's about the storytelling, it's about the interactive experience. It's got very little to do with the technical abilities of the box, and that's just the kind of stuff. So what I want to make these days. So if you look at something like
what about Telltale's? Are you talking about like Telltale's The Walking Dead and stuff like that? Is it around like because those had great experiences too.
It's closer to something like Firewatch, or it's closer to something like What Remains of Edith Finch. It's kind of a walking simulator, but it's much more commercial. And Edith Finch is one of my top 5 games of all time. Love that game.
Wow.
But
I see where you at. I see where you at now. I see where you at.
Yeah. I want to do. To me, when I played Edith Finch, I played it in one setting. It took me about 2.5, 3 hours. I was so happy, so satisfied to play that game. I didn't get stuck. I didn't have any puzzles. I didn't have any fighting. I just went on this really cool adventure, this really cool journey, and it made me very happy. And that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in. So, hey, if Sony comes along and says, Jaffe, we like what you're doing, we want to fund it, but obviously you're going to be on PS5, and so we're going to want it to look fucking amazing. I'm like, awesome. I ain't going to fucking complain.
Gotcha.
But I don't need that
to
for
do
the game to be
do.
That's right.
Got you. That's so interesting. Yo, you know what I love, David, and I'll let you go with this. As great as you are, I love the growth. Just even in your conversation, the way you talk about the games and everything like that, just your sheer growth gets me excited for the game. I don't know what it is, what you're doing, but hearing you speak on it got me excited. You know what I mean?
Cool. So, then hopefully I'll have the same magic on the people I pitch that want to pay to fund it that I'm having on you right now. That'd be great. It's a good omen.
Yeah, man, I got you, bro. So look, man, is there anything you want to say? I know you got your Jaffe stream. Is there anything you want to promote or let people know about?
No, just follow me on Twitter if you're interested. At David Scott Jaffe. Everything flows through there. If I stream on and off if I'm streaming. But just follow me if you want to. If not, hopefully you'll give the game a shout, give it a look when it comes out.
Got you, man. So look, man, you already know what it is. It's the one and only HipHopGamer, Logitech G, Def Jam Records, NBA 2K League on your Hot 97 every day. That's my word. God bless y'all, love y'all, and we are out of here. Peace. Yo, David, you the man, bro. You
cool,
are
man. That's fun.
The man. That was fun. I stole